Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you and welcome joining uh, this morning, Sunday morning, regular 11 o'clock meditation followed by a talk. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So bring yourself in a good space and good meditative posture, and even better, good intention that you're going to do the meditation for the benefit of all sentient beings to attain perfect enlightenment. So with this in mind, we're going to do the refuge and four immeasurable prayers. Then after that we will have three slots of 10 minutes, calm, abiding, uh, silent meditation. I will let you all use your techniques. I'll simply use the gong to time those three slots with the gong. So we'll do the refuge prayer. O in the Buddha Dharma Sanga Ajere Yedela Dhamma Bhavacha Ajandala Ajare Buddha Vajrabe and Abu Dharma Sanga Ajere Yedela Dhamma Bhavacha Ajandala Ajare Padavadave and Abu Dharma Sanga Ajere Vidala Dhamma Bhavacha Ajandala Ajare Vada Vajrabe. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment of all those near far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion of those near and far. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from her judgment and aversion to those near and far. So we're going to do the meditation in three slots of 10 minutes. You simply observe the 4S, the stillness of your posture and sincerity of your motivation and serenity of your attention, whether you're focusing on the posture or the qualified round breathing, forward counting, or super qualified reverse counting. Whichever you do, you observe those three, four S's. The stillness of your posture and attention, and intention should be very wholehearted, and attention should be very, very serene and clear, not scattered or not dull. And then all the technique should be very, very simple. Stay fully present. Uh, so I'll simply use the gong to time our 3 slots of the time. So thank you, everybody, with that meditation. Today's topic of the talk is significance of Saga Dawa. Um, Firstly, you know what is Saga Dawa, when is Saga Dawa, and what it represents, and how do people celebrate it, and um, and what's the benefit of it. So Saga Dawa is a Tibetan word. Saga is the name of a month. Um, and Dawa means month. So this is actually month of um Vesak, and according to it, Vesak is the Indian kind of word for the Saga Dawa, but the Tibetan astrological name for the month is Saga. Dawa means month. It usually falls on the in the full moon in the June. Sometimes every 3 years it falls on the in the full moon on May. Full moon is the full moon, but Sagadawa it means the whole month is Sagadawa. Like yesterday is the first day of the Sagadawa, and full moon falls on the 4th of June. According to the Tibetan Buddhist calendar, um, they, they, they always celebrate in that way. It's usually therefore 1 month after the Theravadan Vesak. The reason for that is Tibetan follows a lunar calendar, and the Theravadan calendar does not follow lunar as such. And in any case, so Sagadawa is named after the Vesak month. Dawa meaning 1 month. It's not a day, because people think it's only the full moon of the Sagadawa is the Sagadawa. They call the day Sagadawa, which is not correct. Day shouldn't be called month. Well, you can, because everything can be a convention. So the full moon on the 4th of June is the full moon of the Sagadawa, but not Sagadawa starts yesterday and goes until about 18th or 19th of June. I'm not quite sure, because the Tibetan month does not often have 30 days, let alone 31 days. So sometimes 29 days and sometimes 30 days. A month that has no month that is 30 days exactly is called auspicious month, because that month doesn't have any day that's missing or day that is double. Some Tibetan months have dates that are missing. So if today is 6, tomorrow will be 8th, because 7th is missing. Numerically, they think the numbers 7 or 8 or whatever is inauspicious. So that's why this Sagadawa month is, I think, is 29th month. That's why it finishes on the 18th of June. So between May the 20th this year till June 18th is the Sagadawa. Why Sagadawa is important is many of the Buddha's activities fell in that month of Vesak. His birth, his enlightenment, his renunciation from samsara, and then his attainment of enlightenment, his passing away, all of them have happened in the Sagadawa, particularly his birth, his enlightenment, his passing away, all falls on the 4th of June, coming 4th of June. That's a full moon. And the belief is that in the month of Saga, whatever good deeds you do in commemoration of the Buddha's infinite qualities of his wisdom and compassion and power, then it multiplies. The merit multiplies because of the holiness of the of the activities that coincided in Buddha's life in those days. And same goes with if one does any negative deeds, they also multiplies as many bad things. So if one does wrong deeds, the wrong deeds also multiplies. So I suppose the weight of karma is sometimes determined by place and time and company and the motivation or the nature of the activity. So because Sakadawa is a holy month, so if a person were to do virtuous things, then due to the time of cosmic time of how holy that month is, anybody who does good deeds, they multiply 100,000 times. Among Tibetan Buddhists, because the Saga Dawa month, there are many who have recent years have promised to become vegetarian in the month of in 1 month. They're not able to be vegetarian whole year or whole life, but in the month of Saga, they will eat vegetarian food, and not eat any meat, for instance. So there is that kind of, you can see even people who could not give up meat, but during Sakadawa, they will sometimes whole family goes vegetarian because they know, but merely abstaining from eating meat in the month of Saga, they know it will have an amazing merit, so strong enough a merit to purify the negative karma that may have contributed by their irregular meat-eating habits. So that is the belief. That is the kind of belief you can understand. And same goes with people taking certain vows, doing nyungne, like fasting ritual, or people deliberately going on retreat, or going on a pilgrimage, or doing various in sponsoring many Dharma activities, such as reading of the Holy Scriptures, getting people to do many prayers at their home, and so people would engage in many various Dharma activities, knowing that will increase the lot of merit and positive deeds. So Sakadawa is a very, very busy Buddhist month. We can call holy month, like Christians call the April Holy Month or Holy Week, the Easter Holy Month. And likewise in Tibetan, Buddhists also call the Sakadawa as the Holy Month. So that's why, because of the time, holiness of the time, lots of people would like to deepen the quality and quantity of their Dharma activities, and therefore they'll change their habits, they'll drop some habits, pick up new habits, positive habits, and they may do some good deeds to others, with others, for others. So it is very much a time for people to become much more conscientious in the month of Sagadawa to do virtuous deeds. It is interesting because people have so much respect for the Buddha and his enlightened activities. So to honor him, to commemorate his enlightened activities, everyone is trying to take a little steps towards the path, even though they live a fairly mundane worldly life, but they try to devote more time and practice and good deeds in the Sagadawa month. So for a Buddhist family or individual, the Sagadawa features very important month to engage in various Dharma activities, including, as I said, observing vegetarian. Then others would do like fasting. So quite a lot of nunneries, not necessarily monasteries so much. The nunneries are the very busiest time in Sagadawa, because in Sagadawa many of the nunneries do fasting ritual. So they do fasting called Nyungne. This is largely to do with 8 sets of Nyungne, because every set of Nyungne is 2 days. So if you go to a confined place like a temple, you stay there duration of the Nyungne sets. If you do 8 sets of Nyungne, that's 16 days. Usually the nunnery would have all organized for people to participate in the Nyungne. And those who are able to join in the rituals, they do at least three sessions each day. And during the first day, they have lunch, but no, some places don't offer breakfast and no dinner. And they be allowed to have some drinks on the first day, but they have to strictly observe the 3 sessions. So that's one level. And then on the second day of the one set, Nyungne, because each set has 2 days, on the second day, they fast totally and do not drink even water. So that second day is a little challenging for most people, but also on that day also you do 3 sets or 3 sessions of the 1,000-arm Avalokitesha ritual. So during the Nyungne, they do 8 sets of Nyungne. So 8 sets of Nyungne means usually people time the Nyungne around June the 4th. At least if they can't do the for 8 sets, they can just do 1 set on that so that it coincides with the full moon. Some who do the 8 sets, they may have started yesterday, for instance, and then it will finish on the June the 5th, because then they would have done 8 sets. But out of the sets, the first day, people who can't do the second half of the one set, which is fasting all 24 hours, then they can just do the first set. The first half of the one set is half day Nyungne fasting, but the rest of actually the half of the day they can eat. So some people who have some health issues, for whatever, they actually do the what you call 2 halves, So instead of doing one complete two sets of sets of 1 day, 2 days, but they do the first day is first day, and second day is also they do another first day, not full fasting on the second day. Those people who have health difficulties, they usually allow that, while others may still stick around in the temple or center and do serving and helping the people doing Nyungne, but they can just help. So quite a lot of people volunteer just helping or cooking, even though they may not be literate or they're not really good in rituals, because you do lots of prostration, you do lots of chanting and rituals, and not everyone in Tibetan community is literate. In the old days, anyway. These days things have changed a little bit, so it means they can't follow the rituals. So they're just sitting there and doing some devotional things. So there are lots of lay people who do the cooking and serving, and on the first day, because of the second day they don't serve anything. So it's really very flexible how everybody take part in, and it's all free, of course, all free. If the temple or monastery is the one who organizes, and the lay people, individuals or groups can donate money or bring actually food stuff. Some people bring rice, others bring vegetables, oil. You wouldn't believe how organized that is, without having to register, without having to check who paid or who didn't pay. They never do all of that. So they make everybody contribute. Even if some could not contribute monetarily or whatever, that's perfectly fine. They never should feel bad, but they rather do the ritual things and so on. So it's a very, very nice communal thing. And they all also observe silence. Usually Tibetan monastery nun is very noisy, But during Nyungne, they got really serious. And in Nyungne, they become really serious and they really observe silence. They giggle a bit, but otherwise, they all become very, very serious. So, the Nyungne is done during the Saka Dawa in a very big way in most Tibetan nunneries, not in the monasteries, unfortunately, for some reason. In the monasteries, monks think that Nyungne is a nun and the lay people, not the monks. They don't do Nyungne. Sometimes they might get a one learned monk to lead the Nyungne, and maybe give a little bit teaching, but the monks themselves don't do Nyungne for some reason. But in the Kagyu and the Nyingma tradition, they do. The most Kagyu and Nyingma monks also join the Nyungne with the lay people and nuns. They are very, very tall. They're very, very kind of family type of thing. They're really good, very inclusive. They don't have make exclusive being monks and nuns and all that. They actually support each other. So you will see the Nyungne happens mostly in the Nyingma and Kagyu, as well as other traditions, but only in nunneries. Like if there's a nunnery of Geluk or Sakya or Kagyu, they all, for sure, they will all do the Nyungne. And the lay people are all contributing. You wouldn't believe how much lay people want to contribute. They may circumambulate the temple where people are doing Nyungne. They may bring food. They may light lots of butter lamps. So people really feel connected by doing during Sakadawa to do Nyungne. And some places they do special ceremonies of making the money pills, like money pills, precious pills of reciting Om Mani Padme Hum. Like in Namgyal Monastery in Dharamsala, that's why His Holiness Dalai Lama yesterday presided briefly in one session, is they're making all the holy pills, holy pills with reciting millions and millions of Om Mani Padme Hum. So they also have some ceremonies deliberately organized during Sakadawa to make those blessing pills. So lots of Dharma activities happen around the Sakadawa because of the merit and because everybody has amazing devotion to the Buddha's infinite enlightened activities. So the Nyungne is Nyungne and many Dharma activities happens in the Sagadawa. For some reason, however, that in Tibetan Buddhism, we don't seem to celebrate the Sagadawa in a big public way like the Vesak celebrations done in the other Buddhist traditions. Like other Buddhist traditions, you see the Chinese and Japanese use the bathing of the Buddha, Buddha image, as a way to celebrate the Buddha's birth. They do that, and they might have an actual big celebration and an official function where everybody's invited, everybody come dress and do rituals and have some talks or teachings and dana and so on. So, and like also the in the Theravadan tradition, Vesak is where people offer dana and have actual cultural dance, and quite a lot of activities. Communities seem to participate in the Vesak. But Tibetan Buddhist tradition do never celebrate in any particular big way, public way, like that. So this is probably my guess is that because the lineage themselves have become Lama-centric, they have become more focused on their founder of their lineage rather than the Buddha. So the Gelugpa seems to be more focused on celebrating Tsongkhapa's anniversary more, and they do that a big way. And then Kagyu and Nyingma and Sakyas, those lineages also do the celebration of their founding father of their lineages day as the biggest day in the calendar of the monastery, and they might have whole monastery draped in many colorful lightings and they may do all sorts of things. But no tradition has been instituted just yet to celebrate the Saka Dawa in a big way, So this is in Tibet, you see, and the monasteries were all segregated. Everyone is away from each other, and they never do things together. They do all by themselves. So I don't know. Something has definitely not been, I think, organized to do a big way. What interesting is that in the last few years, since Prime Minister Modi has become a lot more committed to do something to recognize Buddha's contribution to Indian spirituality and world spirituality. He's Minister of Culture. He's organizing the Vesak in a big way and inviting all the leading Sangha members of Tibetan lineages and Theravada and whoever there is in Delhi. Like last month, they did a big celebration of things like that, hosted by the Indian Ministry of Culture. Whereas all other countries, where in Southeast Asia, like Sri Lanka or Thailand, they all celebrate Vesak in a big public manner, in a huge offering of danas and so on and so forth. So how Saka Dawa is celebrated is very different in different cultures. So in Tibetan, as I mentioned, they largely do nyungne and reading of the holy scriptures in the monasteries, maybe some making of the holy pills and things like that. And that's about it. But they don't do the birth enlightened Buddha as a big public thing where keep lectures or culture performance. They never do that. They may go and offer 100,000 butter lamps around the stupa, and maybe give alms to the poor, and they may paint the stupas and things like that. But they don't do it in a publicly as a big celebration, dancing and food offering, and they don't do that. So that's there's some kind of merit in doing that, because then lay people can participate as a place of celebration rather than a place where everybody becomes fasting and going so noble silent and become very serious. So it's completely different. Sagada become very serious time, Whereas other Buddhists are celebrating the Vesak in a big celebration, It's like a Christmas or something. You give present and you make offerings and dance and culture show and have some kind of they go on a procession in the streets, and all different organizations have a procession and things like that. We Tibetans don't do that. So I think there's room for doing that, room for doing that in a modern scene of where all the traditions are coming together. But it's not quite happening yet, last weekend, I think, they had a Australia Sangha Association conference and celebrating Vesak together there. But there were like about 20 or 30 monks and nuns, but mostly from one tradition. All the other tradition not there. Not a single Tibetan was there. So this all the organizations are still not really connected together, working together so much inclusively. So there's still a long way to go for whole Buddhists to come together and do a big way. But it probably will happen in good time if someone needs to show some initiative and become a bit busy and ask everybody. If people did that, it probably will happen. I don't think there's any negative reason why it didn't happen. It's just because there hasn't anybody taking the initiative to invite and contact and everyone. But in any case, as I said, the Tibetan tradition don't celebrate Vesak as a celebration. It's a time for serious practice of fasting and reading and meditating and retreat, but nothing publicly celebrating in a big way. So Sakadawa has that kind of different facets to people. Because when you get to know the Muslim community, month of Ramadan is observed by every Muslim, and every Muslim, unless the one or two young children included have health reasons, they have to be fed and so on. But otherwise, every adult Muslim observe the Ramadan. They fast a whole day. And then each evening they really come together for a very good meal. And they invite communities and others, which is really lovely. This month I went to a couple of them because the Muslim community here knows that there's a lot of prejudices against them, mainly based on ignorance. And so they are promoting, inviting community leaders, particularly religious leaders from different traditions, of different religions, come invite to their Muslim homes. And they are doing that in a big way in Australia. I don't know, maybe in other towns. And in Canberra, there's a very, very big move. I get so many invitations from Muslim than from Buddhist. Good, quite interesting. Buddhists are not into socializing, eating, and going out. Buddhists might meet at retreats and so on. But the other day I went with my daughter to a Muslim home, and she loved it because she get to meet people from different culture, and they offer their special cuisine and so on. So I think Australia, being a multicultural society, that kind of thing is a very good initiative. And then they talk a little bit about why they do this and so on, about their Muslim faith and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of, and then the merit of people doing the Vesak celebration, Vesak or Saga Dawa celebration in the way they do is done so because of the extra auspiciousness of the month. They know that what they do has many fold more merit than they do on other occasions. So therefore they try to make up for that merit they couldn't accumulate on other days, other months throughout the year, and they try to devote so much in the Sagadawa. That shows that people actually are aware of the good deeds that you do, have actual times that you try to do more, and so that even though you can't do it at all times. That's a very cultural thing. But generally for Buddhists, I would like to say that if you do recollect the qualities of the Buddhas any day and do the meritorious things, there is just the same merit because you are able to remember Buddha any day, not just on Sakadawa. All of a sudden you remember him, and then the merit become more 100,000 times. That's completely cultural. But if you really see yourself as a practitioner, any day or you remember Buddha's qualities, do your practice, the merit is just as enormously beneficial on the day, rather than having to wait for the Sakadawa to come, and that will be miserable other 11 months, So you rather make a more frequent commemoration, remembering of the qualities of Buddha, remember the triple gem at least 6 times a day. Like Muslims pray 5 times a day. The duration of their prayer is no more than the 5 to 7 minutes, And they do that 5 times a day. And I think that's exactly what Buddhists are meant to do, that we call a 6-session yoga. You should do at least 6 times a day. The prayer or practice might be just renew your refuge and bodhicitta, and then remembering the qualities of Buddha, Dharma, the Sangha, and your practice of loving kindness and compassion and right view. And you remember them and pause for a good 5-10 minutes, 6 times a day, and you renew that, and that becomes a really good Buddhist practice. So it's not that Buddhists don't have. We have the thing called 6-session yoga. 6-session yoga isn't just for or Tibetan Buddhists. Tibetan Buddhists, they say that if you're initiate of any Mahanuttara Yoga deity, you should remember the refuge Bodhisattva vows and some key factors of tantric practice at least six times a day. So it doesn't mean that on Saka Dawa day, when you do six session yoga, it's more meritorious, and then no merit when you do every day. It's not right like that. For a true practitioner, Dharma practitioner, for them there is no less merit on other days, more merit on Saka Dawa. Of course, doing on Saka Dawa, we can't say that it has less merit, because if you have additional reason what Buddha did, when, how he got enlightened, what he did, how he passed away. When you take great effort to remember them on Sakadawa, or any day of the Sakadawa, or any day of the whole year, there is no less merit. So any day is an auspicious day for a Buddhist, if they are tuned enough to practice Dharma. They don't have to wait until except only on Sagadawa, as if every other day what they do merit has no great effect or power. But nevertheless, it is a good idea to recommend Sagadawa to those who are inconsistent and who don't have time and commitment and a regulated way of practicing Dharma. But individual Dharma practitioner who have a commitment to do the sadhanas, their practice every day, they should not necessarily think that all the other days' practice is ineffective and only on Sakadawa more effective. And so on Sakadawa, of course, you can reboot yourself in a very special way, but otherwise you don't have anything that you will do something special on the Sakadawa day, even if you observe vegetarianism on Sakadawa, but the rest of 11 months you're just eating meat every day like a jackal. What's the you have every intention to eat and kill animals. So yeah, what is the merit of the 100,000 merit on Sakadawa you did? That has changed you? Nothing. You have every intention to go and eat more and indulge more. So if the merit is 100,000 times, it should have so much merit after the Sakadawa that you won't eat meat the rest of your life. So that would be you have to use logic. What is the merit they're talking about? So this is all culture interpretation. People make that way because majority of lay people are really not religious minded. They may be devoted, but they're not really able to, and hence they try to do some particular practices on Sagada in order to compensate themselves. So therefore it's good for people to be able to do a little bit at least once a year, because otherwise they miss out altogether. And then I've seen some people who first try to do that, Sakadawa, meat vegetarian, then slowly they have now changed. They say 3 days vegetarian, 4 days meat eating. So they're changing slowly. Then slowly changing toward the vegetarian diet, but still not entirely. So you can see that people are realizing it is possible, and it's actually very healthy to be able to live a non-violent life, particularly that directly does not involve killing creatures that you're going to eat. So some people are able to really take that on a little bit more incrementally. So it is not just in Sakadawa they become vegetarian, but they actually see that the point of them observing vegetarianism is not so much that you have merit, that you will gain benefit, but you are actually helping sentient beings by not thinking of the plight of the sentient beings. Not that sentient beings that you don't eat will be saved necessarily because of you not eating, but the fact that you are actually deliberately abstaining from eating and then try to change your way of life out of consideration and kindness and compassion to sentient beings and moderation of one's craving and desire. Those things are natural practice of Dharma. Of course, the person really knows that that's really constitute Dharma. So therefore, Sakadawa related practices people do become exposed to does change people eventually towards the path of moderation, contentment, and compassion, and forgiveness. So you can see how people are slowly changed towards the adopting a lifestyle that is a little bit more concordant with the teachings of the Buddha, and and therefore not quite falling into the extremes of decadence and indulgence in such a consumption of meat or alcohol or all of that. So you can see how and also some people would make a vow to give up alcohol, for instance. If they're going to give up alcohol, they wait until Sakadawa comes, and then in Sakadawa full moon, then they take the vow to give up alcohol, and that's it. From then onwards, then they will not drink any alcohol. So people actually do wait on an auspicious date like that, during which they may take up the vow. And same goes with people getting ordinations. So sometimes if the ordinations are usually timed to occur in Sakadawa, because new people who want to be ordained and are usually timed during the month of Sakadawa, so that they are able to have great merit to be able to receive the ordination in that month. So time-wise, so you can see, and so, but at the same time, by doing the observing Sakadawa in this way, it also keeps the tradition alive. But otherwise, the tradition gets forgotten. When, what do you do, why do you do? If you don't have these things, then the tradition get lost. People don't know when is Sakadawa, what do you do on Sakadawa, why you do these things. If people don't know these things, and then the tradition get lost, and then they only know when is Christmas, and when it's Easter, even though they're not Christian, so that they can go on holiday and indulge. So on Christmas Day, there's a lot more indulgence. In Easter, there's a lot more drinking people these days. So the exact opposite. Instead of people celebrating the Holy Week or Holy Month, they become more unholy month. They do more. They do things that are completely opposite to what that holiday was aimed and designed for. So that's why every culture where they do celebrate their Vesak or Sakadawa, they should know when it is. They should take the day off from their work. They should inform their workplace well and ahead enough, saying that our culture, our traditions, day of holy month is this. I need a break, and one should get those time off so that you can actually go and participate in the local community or whatever activities that are being organized, because you know when is Sakadawa and what are the merit that is doing that, and then you actually know how to do that, and then you actually learn the tradition and culture of the practices. So that's why when they talk about holidays in the West, every weekend people holiday really. In the East, they don't have so much, except until they were colonized by French and English. I don't think this holiday on Saturday and Sunday was a thing in the East. But they used to take holiday on the full moon and new moons, and sometimes on the 8th and 10th of the lunar month. So mainly those days they were assigned as religious days: full moon, new moon, 10th and 25th, the Chok days. Like in Tibetan Buddhist calendar, they will always check when is the Chok days. Chok days usually is the 10th of the 10th and the 25th of the lunar month is the Chok day, during which they have a commitment they should do. So when people know when is the Chok day, when is the full moon, when is the new moon. That's 4 special days in a month. So roughly it is 1 day a month. 1 day a month. 1 day a month. Sorry, 1 day a week. Sorry, 1 day, roughly a 1 day a week, because 10th, then you have 25th, and then the 15th is usually full moon, and 30th is usually a new moon. So when you do that, it's roughly every week there is 1 day that is holy. So from the Buddhist calendar point of view, it's always like that. Whereas these days, most of the societies have changed their calendar to do everything on weekends, So because the weekends are available, no matter what workplace you have, this at least 1 or 2 days a week people are free, so usually Saturday and Sunday, and then you try to do any spiritual things only on those. Even though the Saka Dawa falls on Tuesday, you never do on Tuesday, you always do the Sunday before or Sunday after. So basically, people don't get to really honor the day they thought it's supposed to mean, So, so like in Judeo-Christian Western culture, they always celebrate Christmas on the Christmas day, no matter what day of the week it is. Also, they get a holiday. Whereas other cultures whose holy religious day may fall on Monday, they never get to celebrate Monday. They have to wait to take on a weekend. So that's why all the minority cultures are having to adapt their sacred days, such as Vaisak or Saga Dawa, are being compromised to celebrate on the weekend before or weekend after, because they can't afford to take a day off, because they're just so weak in their mentality. The Muslims are not weak. They will take the holiday, whatever. They will tell their workplace right from very beginning, I'm Muslim. Also, the girls wouldn't marry a man unless he will become Muslim. so it's quite good. That's why the Muslims are very strong, because they are really assertive. When is their holiday? And if you want to marry me, you have to give up your religion. And so every Muslim meets another one, they'll convert them into Islam. So that's how Muslim has become sort of growing their population, because they wouldn't marry into other religion and become Christian or become Buddhist. I know a few Buddhist people in Southeast Asia. When they marry a Muslim man or Muslim girl, they have to give up their religion. That's it. So that's interesting. In any case, the how you keep tradition and the significance of the dates, a month, a year is that keeps the tradition. Like in 1956, Indian government hosted the 2500th anniversary of Buddha's enlightenment, birth, and passing away in 1956. Now that's 73 years ago. 73 years ago. So now we are talking about 2573. 56, 54 plus 56. No, 67 years ago. 67 years ago. So now we're talking about 2567th anniversary of Buddha's passing away and enlightenment. So if we talk about 623 BC, that's when Buddha was born, Buddha was born. And then you minus 81 years, that's when he passed away. So therefore, his birth, his passing away, his enlightenment falling on the same day, which is the full moon. And then that's how internationally whole Buddhists celebrate every full moon in the May. So there's no way to miss it. If you look at lunar calendar, every full moon in the May is the Vaisak. But every full moon in Vaisak does not necessarily always fall on a weekend. So it could fall on any days of the week, and that's why Buddhists one group celebrating on that Sunday, another group celebrating on the coming Monday, things like that. So that's what's happening. But in place like Thailand or Sri Lanka or somewhere, they will celebrate on the very day. They will not be pushing days before or after. They at least are in their own culture. So, and of course, Tibetans is even more difficult because they can't even tell which day is which day because yesterday was 6. You can't tell tomorrow is 7 because you may be missing. 7 is missing, or 5 is double. Who knows? So it's very mysterious calendar there, one. I can't see any point in that. It's very emptiness. So anyway, I thought significance of celebrating Vesak and Saga Dawa is to do with people really recognizing and remembering that they are Buddhist or they are whatever. They need to know when it is, why it is celebrated, how it should be celebrated, and how can we ourselves make sure that that day is in our calendar, and therefore do something special with the local Buddhist or local friends together. So having said that, I was talking to someone just yesterday. I said, "Oh, I'm traveling to New Zealand on the 4th of June," which is which is which is which is one of my annual commitment to go to New Zealand. Always go on the first weekend in June. This is the first time it has coincided with the Saka Dawa there. So, well, like I say, I wouldn't be able to do here anything in Australia, but so I was saying maybe I can time to do something from New Zealand and everybody can zoom in. So that's yet to be organized. Anyway, so everybody is reminded to do something on the whole month and especially on the 4th June, which actually marks the full moon of Buddha's attaining enlightenment and again passing away nirvana and becoming born in Lumbini. So these are triple sacred day is the June the 4th. But the whole month being therefore celebrated, one can engage in deepen quality and the nature of your practice and read the particular biography of the Buddha, get to know a little bit of his life, his teachings. When we try to listen and pay heed to the teachings, how much more, I would say, changes, positive changes we are able to make or we could be making, it becomes quite obvious. When we know some days are special and holy, we therefore have good reason to make appointment with ourselves so that we are available to do those things. So that's all I want to say. Thank you, everybody. Unless you have any questions or comments, if you have, please, we'll allow a few minutes to do that. If not, we will conclude with the dedication merits in a short while. Okay, Anne, please go ahead.
Rinpoche, maybe we could plan for Saka Dawa next year to try to organize something with many Buddhist groups involved, like you were speaking of earlier.
That's right. Yeah. Well, but the one thing is that the other Buddhists do not. Their Sakadawa Vesak does not often fall on the Tibetan Sakadawa. So that's always a problem. they're always a month ahead. Only there's some leap year, then they fall on the same time. So when in Canberra we used to do that. We used to do in the past when the Buddhist groups have no their own place they could do together. We used to meet at the National Gallery on the Vesak. We because the majority are Theravadins and other Buddhists who all tend to celebrate the full moon in May rather than the Tibetan calendar. So we used to do that. We used to do that, but it is possible we can do that. And during the COVID, the Federation of Buddhist Council also organized some on the net to do that. So on the full moon in May, definitely can be organized, but we need someone go plan well ahead, make sure everybody's commit to that, and then come together and do that. Yeah, that can be done. Yes, and thank you very much.
Although it's not actually on the topic exactly, you mentioned meeting at the National Gallery. I know you spoke at the National Museum in relation to the celebration they had for the Feared and Revered exhibition. I just wondered if you had any brief comments on how you felt that exhibition and the public reaction to it went.
Oh, that is a very big initiative by the National Museum to have all the different exhibits from British Museum. Some goes as back as 10,000 years BC, various monuments from Egypt and Africa and across the world, including many old statues of Kuan Yin from China and Japan and Tara in Nepal and Tibet, and they had very many amazing exhibits. So all of these feminine principle, they call feminine principle, who are all highly revered and feared, So there were six speeches, and mine was one of them that is purely from Tibetan Buddhist point of view. Rest is all archaeological and more like anthropological or curator and artist kind of point of view. So the perspectives were very, very different. And they have arranged so that all the speakers are separated by at least a good hour or two between. So I thought they would be all together. It wasn't. So everybody came and gave their 20-minute talk, and then rest inside the exhibits. But the people are then dispersing. Then the next speech comes maybe in an hour's time, and then see who else is in the group. So when I wasn't there before any of the other talks, because the way they have arranged, and I couldn't be there for say a whole day unless you want to. I don't think anybody was there staying for all the talks, throughout the day. So and then they also asked me to lead a meditation in the sculpture garden. So it was good. It was good. I think the National Museum put a big initiative, but it was more. It's just everybody standing in the museum, and the whole ambience was like an art talk, talking on art, looking at weird art. There are so many art is like that, isn't it? So you never know what is art and what is real. So some doesn't look like art, but they are art. Some doesn't look special, but they look very special. Anyway, so everything is so different. So the feeling was I was able to focus more on the mother principle because that was a Mother's Day, Mother's Day, And so a feminine principle, feared and revered. Who else but mother? I told them that. I said everybody revere their mother, but at the same time they fear her. And so I said that people should reconnect with their mother if they revere her. They shouldn't distance her too much, thinking they fear her. So it's time to reconnect. If these statues and exhibits got any messages, that everybody should reconnect with their mother and grandmothers and feminines, the females in their life who are senior enough for them to fear and revere. And there definitely is a strong karma and dharma that everybody must do. And so because I was able to focus on that, I think it became much more livelier for people. Otherwise, they're looking at this, all these exhibits that is 10,000 years old or, 5,000 years old. In different cultures, they are very special because they're all loaned by British Museum, so they think it's very special. But otherwise, it's the feeling is, what's like walking in a museum. Yeah, it's a feeling cold and no warm feelings. uh, all this uniform guards, security guards going up and down, whether we're touching them or whether we're about to take them away. So it's very funny feeling. I don't think any of the exhibits were too light to be taken away by anything, but it's very heavy, very big ones. But it's a whole 9-month exhibit. So if you guys haven't had time to uh, go, and you still got a couple more months to go and see. So that was good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you have no more question, we will conclude here. Thank you, everybody. We'll do the dedication merits. I'm sure we can recollect the qualities of Buddha, Dharma in our lives, and then rejoice them and try to integrate in every life situations. Om Bodhi Mere Me Ho Varaga Deva Menzage Homneze Me Hale Bere Robe Ronde Oshana Bada Desinede Herenda Mahayana Jiji Vadeva Merera Havaga Meho Begas Delavasa Jehoda Mayana Jiji Courage Manjuju Node Azama Drabadra Delava Palohe Ode Zamba Aja de Gade Mere Mede Hexele Bodhijida Tebe Herena Yadanza It has been Bomedinger Freely Hida Generation. Okay, thank you, everybody. Nice to have your company. Have a nice week.
Thanks, Rinpoche. You too.